Hey there, engineer. Welcome back to science class where we are still talking about properties of materials. Now, today is a super exciting day because we are going to look at three materials and decide which is the best for a job. Now, we know that an engineer is a scientist who invents, designs, or builds something to solve a problem. We are going to be engineers this year, and a material is what something is made out of. A property is a trait of a material that we can observe with our five senses. And if you watched the video last week, you know that we actually are only going to use four senses because we are never going to taste something in science class. We might look at it, listen to something, feel it, or smell it, but we are never going to taste it. Now, we talked last week about a substance being the same thing as a material, but when we don't know what it's made out of. So we talked about some substances last week and used properties in order to help us identify them. We've been doing all of this to answer this big question: why do we use different materials for different things? We've explored this a few different ways, like reading this book, What If Rain Boots Were Made of Paper, and by looking at some different things and why they would be a better material for a job than something else. Today, you are going to look at some materials and decide which one is the best for a job. So, we are looking here at this worksheet. It says you and a friend are engineering a house for a class pet and want to hold it together with glue. The material you use to hold the house together has to have certain properties to be best for the class pet. It must be very sticky. It must be able to hold wood together. It must be non-toxic, which means it's not dangerous for the pet. And it has to be a color that the pet won't notice. So what we're going to do is look at glue A's properties, glue B's properties, and this blue tape's properties to try to figure out which one is best for holding the class pet's house together. After we look through this data together, you're going to head over to the classwork tab and you're going to tell me which glue or tape would be best for this job and why. So let's go through this together. The first thing it says is that the tape must be very sticky, rated 5 or more. So I know when I'm looking at the sticky rating, it has to be bigger than 5. I see 7. I know that 7's bigger than 5, so I'm going to give that a check. That means this glue meets this requirement. Let's look at the next one. The sticky rating is 9. Higher or lower than 5? Yeah, higher. So that also is going to be sticky enough for our class pet's house. The last sticky rating is 7. I know 7 is bigger than 5. So all of the glues and the tape meet the requirement for being stickier than 5. So we can't really choose which one would be best based on these. So let's move to the next thing. It has to be able to hold wood together. Glue A says it works with the materials plastic, paper, and wood. Well, I know that if it has to hold wood together and it says it works best with wood, glue A meets that requirement. Glue B says plastic, wood, and metal. Again, it says wood, so I know that glue B would work for this job. The blue tape only works with plastic and paper. So if we want to hold some wood together, and this only works with plastic and paper, would the blue tape be a good choice for this job? No, I don't think so. So even though it's sticky enough, it is not a good choice for this job. Now, glue A and glue B are still in the running. So let's move to the next thing. It has to be non-toxic or not dangerous. So if it has to be non-toxic, down here where it asks if it's toxic, it must say no. That means it's not toxic, it's non-toxic. Glue A is non-toxic. Glue B is toxic. And the blue tape is non-toxic. Let's look at the last requirement for this job. It says it has to be a color that the pet won't notice. Well, glue A is clear. Will the pet notice clear glue? No, so it meets that requirement. Glue B is white but dries clear. And the blue tape is blue. Do you think a pet would notice blue tape? I think so too. So we're going to give that one an X. Now, I want you to look at this data here and how we've analyzed this data. We've looked and seen which glue meets each requirement. And I want you to take a look. Which would be the best sticky material for our animal house? Glue A, glue B, the blue tape, or both glue A and the blue tape. I want you to take this data and head over to your classwork tab on the Google Classroom. You're going to tell me which sticky material you would buy for the animal house and why. Don't forget to keep these glue properties in mind because some of these materials are better than other ones for this job. I want you to tell me which one is best for this job. I'll see you next time.